Today is August 9th, 2023, and I would like to bring you this day in history. At the 1936 Berlin Olympics, African-American track star Jesse Owens wins his fourth gold medal of the Games in the 4x100-meter relay. His relay team set a new world record of 39.8 seconds, which held for 20 years. In their strong showing in track and field events at the 11th Olympiad, Jesse Owens and other African-American athletes struck a propaganda blow against Nazi leader Adolf Hitler, who planned to use the Berlin Games as a showcase of supposed Aryan superiority. Born the son of an Alabama sharecropper in 1913, Owens emerged as a major track talent while attending high school in Cleveland, Ohio. Later, at Ohio State University, he demonstrated himself to be one of the greatest athletes in the world. In a single day of competition, May 25, 1935, Owens broke the world record for the 220-yard dash and the 220-yard low hurls and the running board jump, and equaled the world record for the 100-yard dash. The next summer, Owens and 311 other American athletes, including 17 African Americans, traveled to Nazi Germany to represent the United States at the 11th Olympiad. In 1931, the International Olympic Committee awarded the 1936 Summer Olympics to Berlin. The choice was meant to signal Germany's return to the world community after defeat in World War I. 2 years later, however, Adolf Hitler came into power. He transformed the democratic German government into a one-party dictatorship, purged political opponents and suspected dissidents, instituted anti-Semitic policies, and began the remilitarization of Germany. Hitler initially held the Olympics in low regard because of their internationalism, but because of an avid supporter after Nazi propaganda minister Joseph Goebbels convinced him their propaganda value. Seen as an opportunity to advance Nazi ideology, Hitler provided intensive funding for the Berlin Games, which promised to be the largest modern Olympic to date. The Nazi government used sport as part of its drive to strengthen the Aryan race, and non-Aryan Jewish, part Jewish, or gypsy athletes were systematically excluded from Nazi-supported sports facilities and associations. By 1935, a number of athletic groups in the United States were pushing for a boycott of the Germany Games, but after a heated debate, U.S. participation was narrowly approved in December of 1935. A number of prominent Jewish athletes in the U.S. and other countries decided to independently boycott the Games in protest of Nazi oppression of Jews. Spain also planned to alternate People's Olympics to be held in Barcelona in July 1936, but an outbreak of the Spanish Civil War forced its cancellation. In the end, 49 nations sent some 4,000 athletes to the Summer Olympics in Berlin. Under international pressure, the Nazis agreed to allow one part Jewish athlete in its Olympic team, fencer Helen Mir. However, Joseph Goebbels forbid the Nazi-controlled Germany press from discussing the ethnicity of the blonde-haired Meyer. On August 1st, 1936, Adolf Hitler opened the 11th Olympiad, the Olympic ritual of a runner arriving bearing a torch carried by relay from Olympia, Greece, occurred for the first time. The Nazis advertised the ceremony as symbolic of a myth that Germany's civilization was inheritor of the glorified culture of ancient Greece. Olympic flags and bearing swastika Nazi banners hung everywhere in Berlin. To prevent controversy, the anti-Jewish signs hung throughout the city were removed during the games, and Jewish athletes and visitors from other countries were not subject to anti-Jewish laws. Gypsies were cleared off the street and interned in a camp at the edge of Berlin. A festival and hospitable atmosphere pervaded the German capital, and most tourists left the city with positive memories of their stay. With 348 athletes, Germany had the largest nation team and captured the most medals overall, greatly pleasing Hitler. The Americans, however, dominated the popular track and field event. The first day of competition, Hitler, who had been congratulating Germany and select other winners, left the stadium shortly after 3 African Americans swept the high jump event. Whether Hitler left to avoid shaking hands with the non-Aryan is unclear. In the aftermath of the incident, Olympic organizers asked Hitler to either receive all the medal winners or none, and he chose the latter. Contrary to popular myth, Hitler never directly snubbed Jesse Owens, but he did continue to privately receive German winners throughout the games. With his 4 gold medals, Jesse Owens was the star of Berlin Olympics. He equaled the world record at 10.3 seconds in the 100-meter race and broke the world records in the 200-meter race, 20.7 seconds, and the board jump at 26 feet, 5 3/8 inches. He was enthusiastically applauded by a largely German crowd and developed a friendship with German long jumper and silver medalist Lutz Long. However, he and other African American Olympiads were demeaned by the Nazi newspaper that wrote of them as the black auxiliarist of the American team. On August 9th, Owen won his 4th medal as a member of the mixed race 4x100-meter relay team. The world record-breaking triumph revelation was tainted by the revelation that U.S. and coach benched 2 American Jewish relay races the day before the event. Marty Glickman and Stan Stoller were replaced with Owens and African American Ralph McAfee, the 2 best U.S. sprinters. However, both Stoller and Glickman had outrun Foy Draper, a white American who remained on the team, in a practice race. The coach said that Draper was more experienced, but Glickman and others thought that the anti-Semitism was involved. Stoller, however, thought favoritism was to blame, as Draper and the 4th runner Frank Wyckoff, had trained under one of the Olympic coaches at the University of Southern California. Despite the embarrassment of seeing his best Aryan racer beat by African Americans, Adolf Hitler hailed the Berlin Olympics as a great success. He commissioned a German architect to design a colossal 400,000 seat stadium at Nuremberg that would host the Olympics for all time to come. The outbreak of World War II in 1939 prevented the building of the stadium, and by 1945, Hitler's plans for Nazi world domination had ended in absolute defeat. In the decades of the Cold War that followed, the United States and the Soviet Union exploited the propaganda potential of the Olympic Games as freely as the Nazis did in Berlin in 1936. Although only 23, Jesse Owens retired from amateur competition shortly after Berlin Olympics in order to capitalize on his fame. This effectively brought his athletic career to an end. He later engaged in boys' guidance activities, made goodwill visits to Asia for the U.S. Department of State, and served as Secretary of Illinois State Athletic Commission. He died in 1980. Now I'd like to bring you another This Day in History. In accordance with his statement of resignation the previous evening, Richard M. Nixon officially ends his term as 37th President of the United States at noon, August 9th, 1974. Before departing with his family in a helicopter from the White House lawn, he smiled farewell and enigmatically raised his arms in a victory or peace salute. The helicopter door was then closed, and the Nixon family began their journey home to San Clemente, California. Richard Nixon was the first U.S. president to resign from office. Minutes later, Vice President Gerald Ford was sworn in as the 38th President of the United States in the East Room of the White House. After taking oath of office, President Ford spoke to the nation in a television address declaring, "My fellow Americans, our long national nightmare is over." Ford, the first president who came into office through appointment rather than election, had replaced Spiro Agnew as vice president only 8 months before. In a political scandal dependent of the Nixon's administration's wrongdoings in the Watergate affair, Agnew had been forced to resign in disgrace after he was charged with income tax evasion and political corruption. In September of 1974, Ford pardoned Nixon for any crimes he may have committed while in office, explaining that he wanted to end the nation's division created by the Watergate scandal. Now I'd like to bring you yet another This Day in History. On August 9th, 2010, JetBlue flight attendant Steve Slater quits his job in a dramatic style by sliding down the plane's emergency escape chute while the aircraft is stopped near the terminal gate at New York's John F. Kennedy International Airport. Slater, who claimed his actions were prompted by the behavior of a rude passenger, quickly became a media sensation and a national folk hero. At the time of the incident, the 38-year-old Slater was a steward on Flight 1052 from Pittsburgh to New York City. He contended that when the flight landed, a passenger became abusive towards him during an argument over luggage. Although other passengers on the flight later disputed Slater's account of the passenger's behavior, What happened next was clear. The flight attendant got on the plane's public address system, cursed at the passenger, and said, "I've been in this business for 20 years. That's it. I've had it. I'm done." Afterwards, he took 2 beers from the beverage cart, deployed the emergency exit, and started down the slide. Realizing he had left his bags on the aircraft, he scrambled back up the slide to retrieve them before fleeing down the chute again. After leaving the airport terminal, he drove to his home in Queens, New York. Slater, the son of a pilot and a flight attendant, was soon taken into police custody after posting $2,500 bail. He walked out of the jail the next night, an instant celebrity and even a folk hero to stressed out, overworked Americans. Experiencing his 15 minutes of fame, Slater appeared on national talk shows, was honored with Facebook fan pages, and received offers to do reality TV programs and endorse a variety of products. In October 2010, Slater, facing charges of reckless endangerment, criminal mischief, and criminal trespassing, agreed to plead guilty to 2 counts of attempted criminal mischief and was spared jail time. As part of the deal, he agreed to undergo regular mental health and substance abuse counseling session for a year. Additionally, he was required to pay JetBlue $10,000 in restitution to replace the emergency chute. The Queens District Attorney Richard Brown said of the famous flight attendant, "My own view of the situation was that Mr. Slater was humiliated by what he perceived as a degrading working conditions, and he had a level of rage at the time that was exacerbated perhaps by alcohol consumption and maybe by other contributing stress factors." Brown also said that he felt Slater recognized the seriousness of his actions. I want to thank you for watching today, and as always, stay safe and stay blessed, and remember to smile, because I love you, but more importantly, our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ loves you too, and that's the best love that you could have. If you like the content of this video, please give it and comment down below. Those 2 things really help my channel, but what really helps me out is if you become a Serendipity subby. Yeah, come on over and join our little family we have here. I'm shooting for that 1K mark, so it would really help if you would become part of my Serendipity subby family. All right, everybody, have a blessed day, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye, everybody.